I know it's quite sudden to ask, but do you like Japanese food? What is the Japanese cuisine you know? Ramen? Sushi? Sukiyaki? Tempura? Of course, there are many more. There are traditional dishes, home cooking, and even dishes that came from overseas and evolved uniquely in Japan. Japan may have a rather unique food culture. I heard that more and more people like Japanese food and cook at home using Japanese seasonings and ingredients. Some of the information I am about to share with you may already be known to you. But if it helps you when you cook Japanese food at home, I will be happy. In most countries, temperature is expressed in Celsius and weight in grams, but in the UK, the US, and Canada, the units pound and ounce are used. In the US, temperature is also expressed in Fahrenheit. Temperature and quantity are important in cooking recipes, but measuring cups and spoons also vary from country to country. Different amounts will naturally change the taste, so be careful. There are many types of ingredients used to make Japanese dashi. Here are some of the most common. Katsuobushi, Niboshi, Iriko, Kombu, Hoshi Shiitake, and recently, Ego dashi, which is becoming popular nationwide, and more. Unlike in the past, distribution is now better, and products are sold all over the world and can be purchased online. But, some of them may be expensive or hard to find overseas. There are also liquid concentrates and packets available for your convenience. Well, I am not saying you should always do this, but if you make your own dashi, even if it takes a lot of time and effort, it tastes exceptionally good, though. You can make your own dashi with any combination of ingredients you like, and even vegans can enjoy the taste of Japan by using kombu and shiitake dashi. Miso and soy sauce are also used in some Asian countries other than Japan. You should be able to find soy sauce, miso and vinegar from countries other than Japan in Asian food stores abroad. But if the dish you want to make is Japanese, it is better to use miso and soy sauce made in Japan or made in the Japanese style. Sake and mirin are often used in Japanese cooking. I would like to explain about mirin in particular. Mirin is a sweet alcohol made from rice. In English, it is translated as sweet sake or sweet rice wine. Originally, mirin was not a seasoning, but a kind of luxury sake that women loved to drink in the past. Even today, it is customary in Japan to add spices to mirin and drink it to celebrate the new year. It was first used as a seasoning in the 1800s, and only became commonly used in the 1950s. The sugar content adds sweetness to the food, makes teriyaki glossy, and gives it a good smell when heated. The alcohol content reduces the fishy smell of fish, helps the flavor penetrate the food, and prevents the ingredients from falling apart. It is often used to deepen the flavor of a dish, to bring out the natural sweetness and gloss of a dish. There are actually 3 types of seasonings called mirin. The first is han mirin. The meaning of han mirin is true mirin. The alcohol content is around 14% and there is no sugar in it. The sweetness is generated by fermentation. There are 2 types han mirin, traditional products that take 2 to 3 years to mature, and industrial products that take 40 to 60 days to produce. The second is a fermented seasoning, also known as seo mirin. It contains about 5 to 14% alcohol, but because more than 1.5% salt is added, it is not treated as a drink and is not subject to liquor tax. It is also called mirin-type seasoning or brewing seasoning. The third is a mirin-like seasoning, also known as shin mirin, a product made by adding MSG, syrup, and other sugars to less than 1% alcohol, which is not subject to liquor tax, to make it taste like mirin. Once the bottle has been opened, it becomes susceptible to oxidation and spoilage due to oxygen and bacteria from outside, so it should be stored in a cool, dark place and used up as soon as possible. Many people buy inexpensive CO mirin or Shin mirin because Han mirin is expensive for the quantity. But, once you use Han mirin, you can't use anything else. That's how amazingly different the taste is. Depending on where you live, it may not be readily available, but it is sold online, and I urge you to try using Han mirin. By the way, if you run out of mirin or can't find it, you can use these instead. Of course, it is better to have mirin. If you don't have sake, you can also use white wine, although the taste will be slightly different. Japan is probably the only country in the world where people like to eat raw fish and raw eggs. Today, Wagyu beef such as Kobe beef is popular around the world, but due to Shintoism and Buddhism, Japanese people had a long history of not eating meat. Although it was not totally banned, meat eating did not become widespread until about 150 years ago. Japan is a small country surrounded by the sea on all sides. Therefore, fish is a valuable source of protein and is very familiar to us. In Japan, fishing is one of the popular leisure activities. Some people catch and release their fish, but most people take their catch home to eat at home. The fish you catch are much fresher than the ones from the supermarket, so they are very tasty. Basically, fish in Japanese supermarkets are labeled for heating or eating raw. Some fish that are eaten as sashimi are already sliced into sashimi, while others are not. Speaking of which, I heard that people who come to Japan on vacation and eat sushi are surprised at how delicious it is. Some people say, even the lunch sushi sold in supermarkets is of high quality. But it's not because Japanese fish tastes better than fish from overseas. It's because in Japan, fish is often eaten raw, so freshness and management are very important. The management of the freshness of fish begins when the fisherman catches the fish. The distribution system is also designed to ensure that freshness and temperature are thoroughly controlled and delivered to consumers quickly. This is a good idea because we eat fish raw. Therefore, some sushi chefs who are active overseas negotiate with fishermen to have them thoroughly manage the fish after it is caught. If you want to make and eat your own sushi or sashimi, please choose fish that are marked as sushi grade or sashimi grade. Or ask the staff if the fish can be eaten as sushi or sashimi. Oh, and as an aside, freshness doesn't mean that Japanese eat all fish raw. There are some fish that cannot be eaten raw. And even if it is fresh, there is one thing that you have to be careful of. It's a parasite called anisakis. Unfortunately, this has nothing to do with freshness. Anisakis go through this kind of food chain to invade the internal organs of fish. Marine mammals feces with anisakis eggs in it. The eggs hatch and become larvae. The larvae are eaten by krill. Fish eat the krill. The marine mammal eats the fish and takes the anisakis into its body. Anisakis becomes an adult and lays eggs. When the host fishes dies, some of them migrate from the internal organs to the muscles. Humans eat those fishes and get food poisoning. There are several kinds of fish parasites, but most of them are safe for humans to eat. But, anisakis can cause an allergic reaction in humans with intense stomach pain and nausea. It is very difficult to cure without going to a hospital. Fish that are said to be particularly high in anisakis are salmon, mackerel, squid, and cod. As a side note, in Japan, mackerel and cod, no matter how fresh they are, can only be eaten raw in limited areas where the conditions are right. Some people think that wasabi or vinegar will kill anisakis, but it won't. I know I scared you a little, but don't worry. The probability of anisakis moving from the host's internal organs to the muscles and avoiding dozens of blade slicing attacks to enter our stomach alive is low. Moreover, it doesn't always cause symptoms. And farm-raised fish are almost free of anisakis because they are fed by humans. Fish that have been frozen at -20 degrees Celsius or below for at least 24 hours are also safe. In the case of cooking with heat, heating at 60 degrees Celsius for at least 1 minute will kill them. Getting hit by anisakis is about as likely as winning a decently expensive lottery. But, it is also true that some people win the lottery. Whether you catch or buy fish, keeping it cold is important to keep it both safe and tasty. And, although there are some fish dishes that make use of the internal organs, but whether you eat it as sushi, sashimi, or cooked, it is important to dispose of the internal organs as soon as possible to keep it fresh. Probably only Japanese people eat raw eggs mixed with rice. Many Japanese like to eat tamago kake gohan with fresh raw eggs. It's unthinkable in any other country, right? Because food poisoning caused by salmonella is very scary. The shelf life of eggs in Japan is indicated as the time they can be eaten raw. Eggs are often eaten raw, so egg producers are very careful about hygiene. Eggs are cleaned and sterilized, and any cracks or breaks are removed before they are packaged and delivered to stores. And, there is a warning on the egg carton that says, if there are any cracks or breaks, or if the best before date has passed, please heat and consume.
A study in the 1990s found that the number of contaminated eggs was 3 in 10,000. This calculates to 1 egg every day for 10 years, resulting in 1 poisoning. Still, it does not mean there is zero risk.
The way we handle it makes the risk higher. Carbonara. Half-boiled or fried eggs. Egg Benedict. Handmade mayonnaise using raw eggs. And tiramisu. You sometimes eat eggs that are almost raw, right? It is very important to handle them in a way that does not increase salmonella. Do not leave eggs out of the refrigerator for long periods of time. This is because the temperature difference causes condensation to form on the eggshell. This moisture enters through the pores of the shell, which are invisible to the naked eye. When this happens, the salmonella bacteria on the shell will enter with it. For the same reason, eggshells should never be washed in water. But you should wash your hands after touching the eggs. Cook the cracked eggs as soon as possible. Don't eat raw or half-boiled eggs or dishes that contain them the next day, even if they are left over. Homemade mayonnaise is good to use up that day. It is best to use it within a few days at least. The shelf life will vary depending on storage conditions, the environment in which it was made, and the freshness of the ingredients. Many people tend to use less vinegar in homemade mayonnaise than in commercial mayonnaise. Salmonella is sensitive to high temperatures, but it is also sensitive to acid. I have heard that more and more countries are now vaccinating their chickens against the disease so that they can safely eat eggs. Isn't that the case with the lion-marked eggs in UK? I've heard that some people are trying egg on rice due to the influence of anime and manga, but it's not limited to egg on rice. Please be careful how you handle eggs when cooking with them. Also, salmonella can show up in raw meat, reptiles, and things that infected people have touched, so be sure to clean your utensils and wash and disinfect your hands properly. In fact, this may be the most important thing. Water is also an important ingredient. There are 15 countries in the world where you can drink safe water from the tap. Japan is one of them. Still, water purifiers and bottled water sells well. Japan is a strange country. It depends on the region, but I guess it is because safe does not necessarily mean tasty. For a country where water is so precious, this may be a luxury. Water is divided into soft water and hard water based on its calcium and magnesium content. Most of Japan is a soft water country with low calcium and magnesium content. On the contrary, most of Europe has hard water. This has a lot to do with the topography. In Europe, the geology is dominated by limestone, and the terrain has a gentle slope from the mountains to the sea. Therefore, rain and snow are slowly filtered through the mineral-rich lime layer, resulting in groundwater rich in minerals. Japan's geology is dominated by granite, and the slope from the mountains to the sea is steep and undulating. Rain and snow that is filtered through granite, where water permeates quickly, flows down from the mountains to the sea at a relatively fast rate, so the mineral content permeates less than in Europe. Hard water is suitable for cooking meat, and has the characteristics of tenderizing meat and removing lye well. Soft water is good for bringing out the flavor of the ingredients. Soft water has a great deal to do with the taste of sake and soy sauce. The same is true for dashi. It is difficult to extract the umami from Japanese dishes when using hard water. This is because the minerals in hard water block the extraction of dashi. Of course, there are differences depending on the region of Japan. Kyoto in the Kansai region has softer water, so they use a lighter colored soy sauce to bring out the flavor of the dashi stock and ingredients. The dashi is mainly made from kombu. On the other hand, in the Kanto region such as Tokyo, the water is harder than in the Kansai region, so a darker soy sauce with a stronger aroma is used. Dashi is mainly made from katsuobushi. The difference in the main ingredient of dashi stock seems to be partly due to the logistics situation in the past. There is even a story about people from Kyoto who moved to the Kanto region and have trouble making dashi stock. But even in the Kanto region, the average mineral content is 1/3 that of Evian in France. Please pay attention to water and try cooking Japanese food. Japanese people living abroad in areas with hard water seem to be using Brita water purifiers. What did you think? I'm sorry if it's all stuff you already know. But I'd be very happy if this video could help you make your own Japanese food taste better than ever.